Today we have a continuation of our project cost estimating methods. It will be a quick class today. We will just talk about project cost estimating for freelance designers, and then some of the problems that can arise in project cost estimating. And so it will be a quick lecture today. So, a freelance designer, you already know what that is. A designer that is not working in a company as part of a company, but working alone from home, taking projects and completing them. So, this type of designer, what kind of things should he or she take into consideration when basically cost estimating, when doing cost estimation for a project and telling the client what will be the cost for him to pay. So what kind of things, general things, need to be taken into consideration. So the expertise. So the more you are an expert, the more you have experience working as a freelance designer, the higher your rate will be. And of course you need to take into consideration that you should be well known, like the clients should know you, that you are who you are, not only for you to believe you are a great designer, but also the others to believe. Only then you can raise your price, okay? So you need a lot of years of experience, a lot of projects, and basically anyone opening your page can see how many projects you've done, all these details. You should have a page, okay, if you're a freelance designer. So clients could find you through this way. So the more you're an expert, the more talented you are, the more skills you have, the higher you can charge. Also, sometimes it's a personal decision. As a freelance designer, you're not bound to a company. So you're not bound to follow someone's decision, a boss, a manager. No, you are the boss, you are the manager of everything. So in the end, it depends on what you need to charge, basically. But you need to make sure that it is not extremely high so that people will not work with you, or extremely low so that you won't get any profit. So you have to find that middle ground. Of course, when you estimate a project and give prices to a client, you need to consider the specifications. What is the project? Of course, if it's a big project, taking a lot of effort and time, it will be priced differently than if it is a small project. So, you need to consider how much time you need to finish this project, all its specifications. All its specifications with the client need to be clear, so that you can later form a timeline and know exactly how much time you need to complete this project and all its tasks, and so give a reasonable price to the client. The time, of course, we talked about the time. How much time will it take you to complete the project? The economy in general, the economic situations can also influence what kind of costs you give to a client. Like in difficult times, everyone maybe put the prices down, so that, especially if you want to work on a certain project. You know, sometimes it's like your favorite type of project, you want to work on it, and at the same time there is some economic issues. Maybe then you can lower your rate, but you need to be careful not to lose all the profit, because you don't want to work for free. So you don't want this to happen. And since you are the boss and you are the manager, you're the one who's doing everything, you need to make sure you're doing it correct. Okay, you're managing everything correctly. Now, location. So sometimes you see some clients with projects refuse to work with designers that are far away, that they cannot meet face to face. It's a psychological thing. It's like, I need to know the designer is close by, I can jump anytime and see the project, the progress, talk to him. Many people are not comfortable doing an entire project with someone far away over the internet, you know. So this could influence how many clients you get, and how much you can basically ask for the price, how much the client to pay you. So now this shouldn't affect the price, because you are a designer with certain skills, with certain experience. You will spend time on this project. So where is the client should not affect the price. But just to keep in mind that some people are not comfortable working long distance projects. So it could affect, you know, how many clients you get. So now when you talk about freelance designers, it also applies to very, very small studios, like design studio. It's like maybe maybe 2 or 3 people only work in a design studio, and this is not a company really, it is a small studio. Maybe you are, as a designer, have another person who help you with the project, do certain tasks. So it's not really a company, you know, with all these managers and workers and designers. No, it's just very, very few people. So what we talk about here applies to freelance and very, very small studios. So the rule of the third in cost estimating projects should apply. So always keep in mind the rule of the third, which is basically to allocate a third of the project cost, so whatever the project will cost with all its details, after you have them written down and decide the cost for each one, a third, okay, should be basically on the time spent to complete the tasks. So notice here, you need to have a timeline. You need to have a timeline, you need to have decided all the tasks that needs to be completed so that you can calculate these things. But a third for the cost should generally go for this. Then another third for the cost, also on salaries paid. This is if you're a small studio and you have someone else working with you. This person will need a salary. If you are taking services from other studios or companies, like you're a freelance designer, but for certain parts of my project, I go to a company to complete it for me, then you have to also pay, and all of this need to be taken into consideration. Another third of the cost is for these kind of stuff like rent, electricity, all of this stuff that relate to this. So a third of the cost can be applied for these kind of items, and a third for the profit. The profit is what you put in your own pockets after all the other costs are deducted. Okay? The final amount of money, that is extra, left for you. Okay? This is the profit. So, in general, but this is very general rule, you know, but this is the safe rule. If you're a freelance designer or a small studio, this is the safe rule. If you leave, for example, very little for profit, you know, sometimes things can go wrong. And you may end up without a profit, for example. Or so all of these things, in general, the rule of the third will keep you safe if you're a freelance designer. Now, what can cause inaccurate project cost estimates? This is for, in general, and particularly applied for freelance designers. So, lack of experience with similar projects. So, if suddenly a client comes to you with a new project, you never experienced it before, you don't know the process yet. So, it's a new project, then it could possibly create some wrong cost estimates, because, as you know from previous lectures, when you're dealing with similar projects over and over again, you can use the data from previous projects and apply them in your cost estimate. So this is a safer method, but dealing with new projects means everything is new. Everything you must calculate from scratch, and it can cause some inaccuracies. If you don't understand the work completely, for example, there is a miscommunication between you and the client. We already talked about these things in the past, how the client sometimes tries to communicate what he wants, but is not able to in a correct way. So some of the project descriptions are not available, not fully understood. So this can also create some inaccuracies when you try to calculate things. Because the client will come and tell you later, I expected you to do this, but okay, but you didn't communicate it, so I didn't know. So these kind of issues can create problems. Also, if you try to create hasty, meaning quick cost estimates because you are under pressure. Like a client come to you now and say, describe his project and everything, and he wants now for you to give him the cost. And you don't have it. You need to calculate some things. You need to think about what to give him. So you're under pressure, okay? And quickly you try to give a cost estimate to the client, and this can create problems, okay? For everything, you need to go through the correct steps. The human resources management. Now, the more people are involved in a project, I said now, you as a freelance designer could be one person, but if you have other people helping you, one person, two persons, other companies doing some services for you, this can create also complications in the cost estimate. So, here you need to be also extra careful. The more people involved in the project, the more complication, okay? The more you need to be careful. So, now another problem is that you expect that everything will go as you expected. Like all the resources will work at maximum productivity. Like for example, like you expect that, okay, I'm dealing with this project as a freelance designer. I have to finish this task today. Tomorrow I have to do this. And exactly put the timing on the timeline. But suddenly you fell ill, for example, okay? And you're so ill you cannot do the project. This will create a time delay. So, with you or with other people involved in the project, not everything works at maximum productivity all the time. We can expect things, okay, and calculate, but we need also to put a contingency amount of money into consideration in case something goes wrong, you know? Failing to identify risk, and okay, well, this is what we explained now. So, also identifying the type of risks that can happen and preparing for them. Some kind of a plan, backup plan, contingency plan, okay? It's also a good way so that mistakes don't happen. If you're not familiar exactly with the scope of the project, exactly all the objectives, every deliverable, everything about the project, this will for sure create inaccuracies in the estimation. So, also when you create your timeline, sometimes inaccuracies can happen in the timeline. So when you actually start working on the project, you see, oh, I forgot this task, or that subtask, or I forgot to do this and that, and then start modifying your timeline. And it can create also some issues in the cost estimate. Especially when can this happen? If you work on several projects at the same time. And as a freelance designer, don't expect that you will be working on one project, smoothly finishing the project, then start another project. No, the reality is you could be working 2, 3, 5 projects at the same time. So you work a little bit on this project today, you work a little bit on that project, you need to have a very, very carefully designed timeline so that all the projects you complete on the correct deadline. Not to forget, today you work on the project number 1, and then tomorrow again and again and again, and you forget that you have project 2, project 3, project 4 waiting for you. Actually, this situation you are, as a student right now in. So you have this class, you have another class, you have so many classes to study and to complete work. It's the same thing, okay? And every class you're expected to deliver at a certain time. So, now we finished like this, okay? Next class is the midterm exam on everything from the start till now. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Anything you want to ask? Now is the time, okay? Last opportunity. If you have questions, pick up your hand. Everybody knows what the exam will be like? You know, okay? Great. Okay. Well, if you don't have questions, you can go. Okay, and good luck. If you have questions, stay behind and ask.